This is Carl Pearson, and I'm continuing with the third part of my political infomercial. And this is on the Sheriff of Wall Street carries a law book instead of a gun. I'm running for Attorney General of New York State, and as that office is the most powerful elected office in the country, it happens to be also known as the Sheriff of Wall Street. So I'm seeking to become the Sheriff of Wall Street, and my program is such that as the Sheriff of Wall Street, I'm really the Sheriff of the nation, enforcing federal laws and state laws on behalf of the whole country. So this is a continuation of that 30-minute program, and at this point I am seeking your support to win this election on November 2nd in the year 2010 and be able to make the needed reforms. And there are three things that you can do. You can contribute to my election campaign, and here is the address. The PayPal can be reached through my website, carlperson4nyag.com, or you can make a check to me, Carl E. Person, and mail it to my address, 325 West 45th Street, New York, New York, 10036. The other two things that you can do, and I ask you to do, is to send an email to all of your friends telling them about this 30-minute infomercial. The information is something that you have never heard from anyone, I can tell you, I know. And the information is very valuable. It really shows us how to get out of this mess that we're in, because I found the one office in the country, the one governmental office that can do the problem, it can correct the problem. And I have the skills and the insight in order to be able to use that office for the betterment of the country and to stop the destruction of the middle class that's going on now. So send them information about this website, about this video. You can find this version itself by searching on YouTube for Wall Street Sheriff. Put it in quotes, Wall Street Sheriff, and that should be the only video that comes up, so that it's easy to find this version of the infomercial. And thirdly, for those that have Facebook blogging experience, please get the word out on Facebook that we have a candidate and a reform that can actually take place and cure the evils of what is going on right now to destroy the middle class. We can and should and need to stop it right now. This is the one chance that we have. It's the one chance that you have. So please do something about this. Now, once again, I'm going to show you this information, and let me now continue with the with this infomercial. I happen to be the most qualified candidate for the office. It's very clear. The reason is that I've been doing my whole life preparing for this with all of the litigation that I've done over the past 40 plus years. All of this litigation has been oriented towards enforcing the rights of individuals, of small business, in order, and against government and against large corporations. This is exactly the skill that you need. You do not want a prosecutor in this role. A prosecutor are my two opponents. They're both elected as county prosecutors, and they now seek to elevate themselves over the bodies of everyone that they put in jail, many wrongfully put in jail, to become the New York State Attorney General, where they can then suppress the rights of the people further. So we don't need that. I have the motivation and the background to use the awesome power of the New York State Attorney General to make the changes needed to reform this country. I don't have the time in this 30-minute program to tell you all of my qualifications, except that I'm a Harvard Law School graduate with experience as a practicing attorney in all the legal fields needed by an effective New York State Attorney General, including securities, antitrust, business, and civil rights litigation, and most recently stopping home foreclosures in various states. I was the first lawyer to sue for the right to advertise as a lawyer, and I personally created the paralegal field and understand how to start up and run a low-cost college. Also, I'm a high school dropout. My experience makes me the most qualified person for New York State Attorney General, and my plan for using the awesome powers of the New York State Attorney General is unique. The other candidates don't even recognize those powers. No other candidate has any plan at all other than to avoid using these powers and to reinforce the direction being taken by the Republicans and Democrats alike, which is to transfer America's wealth and opportunity to the rich and favored groups and destroy the middle class. We've got to stop that. As the nation's new sheriff, I can help you create sustainable prosperity for yourself and your community. Here are the last 7 minutes I hope you've been waiting for. This is the point where I can tell you about the reforms I can implement as the new sheriff of Wall Street, if elected. The reforms need to have a government official to be able to, number one, effectively implement the reforms, and number two, be a focal point for the activities of tens of thousands of individuals and organizations seeking in their own ways to help create a more sustainable society and economy. No federal or state statutes or funds are needed to implement my reforms. Now that's important. I'm not asking, once elected, to have money to be voted by the people who are opposed to this. There's no need for federal or state funds, and that's the most incriminating thing of all about the lack of doing anything to help the public, is that we don't need the funds to do it. We just need somebody to go out and do it, as you'll see. I recognize that an important part of the New York State Attorney General is to provide legitimacy to these efforts by others and information dissemination through a governmental website and a way to publicize the reform movement as actions approved by at least one branch of government. One important issue, both legal and informational, is adapting zoning laws to be in sync with the needed reforms for a sustainable economy. This is like both legal and informational, and this is where the New York State Attorney General can provide both of those. And that's just an example of the kind of activity that we need in this office to be able to create our sustainable society at the local level. Here are the reforms I can implement for you as your new sheriff of Wall Street. Number one, perhaps the most important reform is to have each town, village, county, and city in New York, as well as the rest of the country, have its own town, village, city, or county attorney general to enforce locally and at government expense the rights of the residents, homeowners, small businesses, and others needing protection from the rapacious activities of the monopolies and other favored groups, and to start dismantling our vigorish economy. This would extend the effectiveness of the New York State Attorney General through decentralization of his awesome powers and provide needed competition for the current district attorneys throughout the counties who, because of this competition, may be forced to do something worthwhile for the residents and voters of that county instead of filling up the state's prisons with many inconsequential offenders in order to qualify the district attorney for some higher office or judgeship.